Hello everybody, welcome to GG Files. I'm Toad Knight, and if you're a Souls fan, I have some great news for you. There is a new retro-style Souls game coming out, almost like a deconstructed version of Souls games, called Dual Corp. I just got done playing the demo of this one, and it blew my socks off. Dual Corp is an action RPG, a Souls game, that on first glance you'd think is running off a PlayStation 2. But don't let that scare you away. This game went with a retro-looking art style that I think looks fantastic. And to complement that art style, it looks like they're giving us a ton of different skills, a ton of different talents, a ton of different weapons, and also a ton of different mechanics that are going to stack up on top of each other. Now, the mechanics are the first thing I want to talk about because that might be a little confusing, mechanics that stack on top of each other. What I mean is it's going to have a lot of mechanics like in your talent system and your skills and the weapons you choose. It's going to let you mix and match and create a ton of different builds for your character. This is the reason I'm so excited for this game. This game uses a talent system to change up the way your character plays and how your character fights. It's an amazing idea, and when I saw that talent system, I knew how broken and crazy people are going to make some of the builds in this game. Before mentioning anything else about this game, I do want to talk about the talent system, because that's going to be the most important thing about this game. It's going to make it shine, it's going to add something new and extremely important to the Souls-like gameplay. And what the talent system is your character is going to have 4 different talent slots in their inventory. And these talents are going to drastically change how the game is going to be played for each person. For example, I have this talent called Divine Wrath, which makes my weapon permanently enchanted with holding energy, allowing me to cast healing spells. And when I increase my faith, it scales with my weapon no matter what, as long as I have this talent on my talent tree. So I could become a paladin just with this one talent. And there are much more build-defining talents, like for example, one called Devouring Fury. When you deal physical damage with your melee weapon, you're healed for a portion of your missing mana. So if you want to go a rogue build that life steals, you just equip Devouring Fury, use all your mana, and just swing away. You'll get all your damage back. It's a lifesteal ability. This totally switches up the game, and you can go anything you want and make your character as OP as you want, depending on what talents you choose and what talents you find in the game. Now, there are only 4 spots, which is going to get players to try to find the best build that fits them, and you're able to switch out talents whenever you want in your talent bar. It's going to make the replayability of this game explode, because this is exactly what a Souls game needs, is something that lets the player do different builds for each run they do. I am so excited for this. This is actually genius, more than genius. I think this is incredible. I think this is an amazing new mechanic to add to any Souls-like game that'll increase its value by so much, that'll increase its replayability, that'll just get me to want to play it more. If I could run different builds with different talents like this in all the Souls-like games, I would be so much more interested in replaying a Souls-like game. And it is really incredible. I really like this mechanic. And this is going to be the mechanic that defines this game's place on the indie game marketplace. Besides the talent system, they've also added a new spin on the classic Souls-like combat. Now, the Souls-like combat is basically the same. All the same mechanics as Souls-like. The thing they've changed about it is your X, Y, and B button now all swing in different directions. So if you press X, you swing from the left side. If you press Y, you swing from the top. If you press B, you swing from the right side. This comes into play when guarding comes into play. This is the new big mechanic, the parry system they added. You can hold the block button and pick the direction you want to guard, and that'll parry the enemy's attacks. This is so hard and so confusing to my brain because I just played Lies of P, and so all the buttons are kind of mixed up from your normal Souls-like game, and now I have, not only are my buttons mixed up, but I also have to parry attacks that are either coming at me from the left, from the right, or from the top. So you really have to watch the boss's movements because you're going to be parrying left, right, top, and you have to make that decision split second when you're parrying. It is a lot of fun, but man, is it confusing at the start, especially if you're fresh off a different Souls-like game. I just got done with Lies of P, and playing this felt like I was rubbing my belly and patting my head. I would run when I was supposed to dodge. I was pressing all the wrong buttons. It felt very awkward, but I will say, once I got the hang of it, it felt good. That first boss battle I had took me a long time, even though he was an easy boss. At the very end, I was parrying all his attacks. The parries felt great. The other newish mechanic they've added to the classic Souls-like system is their multiplayer aspect. It looks like a lot of the game was designed for 2 people to play, What I mean by that is at the very start, when you get to the base like hub level, the hideout, you get an option to have a NPC come with you. And definitely take this option because it definitely seems that the game is more geared toward a 2-player experience, because all mobs are in mobs of 2. The first NPC you get to come with you is a priest that heals you. It just makes your life easier because this game is very hard, especially when facing 2 enemies. I don't know if it was hard for me because I'm coming off Lies of P and all my controls were mixed up, or if it's just a very hard game in general, and they wanted to make it multiplayer to kind of compensate for that difficulty. Now, I will say the bosses weren't that hard. I think if you have 2 people during the boss fight, you'll probably be able to sweep the boss in one go, which is kind of worrisome. We'll get into the bosses a little later on, but it does look like the other mechanic they're trying to push towards is getting a 2-player experience for this one instead of a single-player experience, which I'm kind of on the fence on. I kind of want to enjoy this myself. I don't want to rely on my AI partner to fight with me. I kind of want to do it myself, which I'm on the fence about. I don't really like it that much, but I'll try to rustle up a friend to play this with me, because playing Souls-like with a friend could be a lot of fun, or could just make the game way easier. I loved Remnant from the Ashes, so I don't want to write it off completely. Remnant Ashes is definitely geared to a more multiplayer experience because of all the ads you get when you fight a boss, but this game's not a AAA game like Remnant from the Ashes is, so I don't know if they're going to be able to compensate the 2-player experience versus the 1-player experience as good as something like Remnant. So I'm a little on the fence about it, but I mean, if you have a friend who loves Souls-likes, that might be your cup of tea, and that might scratch your multiplayer Souls-like itch. Now, I do want to go more into the boss fights of this one, because the boss fights are obviously a huge part of Souls-like games. And the thing about boss fights in Souls-like games is it's very hard for an indie team to recreate. When you're animating boss fights like that, it's very hard to recreate the Dark Souls style because it's very artistic the way the boss fights are in Dark Souls. Everything's very calculated. Every animation is there for a reason. Every weapon is taken into account. It's very, very calculated in the Dark Souls games, and it's very hard to recreate. And they don't really recreate the whole thing here. The first boss fight is amazing in this. I love the first boss fight. It was incredible. Second boss fight, it needs some work. I didn't really like it all that much, but like every Souls game, there's always going to be a boss fight or two everyone hates. It wasn't the best representation for a boss fight in the demo, but I will say the boss fights are the hardest, by far the hardest thing to recreate about any Souls-like game, so I'm not going to knock them down for that. In fact, if the bosses are just super easy in this, I would still play it just based on how good their gameplay is, because I do want to try to run every build. I want to try to get a lifesteal build going where if I'm a rogue, I want to try to get a heavy weapon build going. I want to try to get even a bowsman build going. I don't know what talents are going to be in the game, how many they're going to have. Looks like they're going to have tons of talents I can try. Yeah, the boss fights probably aren't going to be up to snuff of your regular Souls-like game, or even Lies of P had amazing boss fights too, but I would still recommend 100% wishlist this because the gameplay mechanics are going to be so good. Now, I do want to take a quick look at the character creator here. There is a character creator at the start of the game, and it's a very basic character creator, much like something you see in the Souls-like games, where you just get to choose your hairstyle, your body type, head size. But I want to point out specifically that they have a different class system, which is really cool. I really like the way they did the classes in this. It looks like right now they only have the Knight, Priest, Assassin, Ranger, Mage, and Paladin, which is a really cool choice of classes. But what I really like about it is it changes visually. Now, there's something a lot of Dark Souls players say, at the end of Dark Souls, it's all about the fashion. And I like that about that too, because I would much rather have weaker armor and weaker weapons if they looked better. I don't know why, I just really like having like whatever looks coolest on me, and I want to beat the game as me, the thing that looks the coolest. Like in Lies of P, I looked up the boss weapons beforehand. I always look up the boss weapons to see what one I'm going to upgrade. And unfortunately for me, I wanted that giant mace, and you get it at the end, so I had to play with that giant mace at the end. But yeah, I really respect that they gave all the different classes different armor, because it definitely seems like they are Souls-like players themselves, and they know how important that fashion is in a Souls game. If you are a Souls-like player, and if you love Souls-like, and if you even like indie games, even remotely, wishlist this now. Wishlisting helps them so much, actually, with the Steam store and all their analytics and stuff, and it'll really pop off this game. Wishlist it now because it is an amazing game. It's a deconstructed version of Souls. And if you love the Souls-like games, you're going to love this one. It obviously has a lot of heart, obviously has a ton of inspiration from the Souls-like games. The gameplay feels great. The additions to the gameplay they added to the classic Souls algorithm are incredible. I am so excited for that talent system, and I'm excited to make some OP builds because this game is going to be incredible. I'm so excited for this one. It is right up my alley. But definitely wishlist this because it's so good. If you have any liking towards any of the Souls games, this one is definitely a 100% wish list right now and probably buy when it comes out. Thank you guys for watching. I just got done with Lies of P, so I was really excited for this one. Lies of P was amazing, and Dual Corp also looks amazing. I'm just hungry for more Souls-likes. Yeah, I'm Toad Knight, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.